A dog accidentally enters the country of cats and brings with it a bunch of problems that put the whole city under threat. What happened next? We will find out from the review of the cartoon dog Samurai and the City of Cats. There is a country in the world where only cats live. There lives a very impudent, cunning, and harmful cat named Ikaku. He dreams of becoming a new shogun, that is, the most important cat. Anyone who is against this nasty cat is ready to wash in a huge toilet. For example, the residents of the nearest town of Kakamucho, which spoils the view of his huge castle. There are 248 cats living in Kakamucho. One day, local kittens spot bandits on the road and hurry to warn the rest of the residents. They ask the city's defender, Mr. Samurai, for help. This is a huge cat in armor who immediately gets on his horse and prepares for battle. A whole army of evil cats rushes into Kakamucho, and the main defender immediately runs away in fear. Oops! The rest of the inhabitants also scatter in panic. The evil cat invaders destroy many buildings and disperse other cats. Locals gather for a council. They want to protect their city, but there is a problem. Their samurai cat has disappeared somewhere, which means they need a new hero. Cats from Kakamucho send a messenger to Syogen with a request to send them a new samurai. Syogen promises to solve this problem and calls Ikaku. The main cat requires his assistant to find a good defender for the residents of Kakamucho. But the cunning Ikaku wants to send them the worst samurai in the world. At the same time, they take out a little cute dog named Hank from the castle's dungeon. He accidentally crossed the border and ended up on the territory of cats. For this, he was immediately arrested and sentenced to execution. Hank tries to escape from his executioners, but how can a single dog hide in a country of cats? Of course, the dog is quickly found. He is again taken to the square, and dozens of arrows are aimed at him. Hank shouts that he has arrived in this country to become a real samurai. Hearing this, Ikaku stops the execution. A cunning red cat promises Hank to make him a new samurai in the city of Kakamucho. The dog is put on a horse, given a cup of samurai, and sent to a new job. Ikaku is sure that the cats will deal with the little dog, and he will have the legal right to arrest the whole city. The residents of Kakamucho find out that a new samurai is coming to them, and are very happy about it. They arrange a whole concert in honor of the arrival of their hero. But as soon as the cats see that the dog is sitting on the horse, their mood immediately changes. Fierce residents decide to get rid of Hank. They chase the dog down the streets of the city and, of course, catch him. Hank shows his mug to the cats, but they just laugh and grab their weapons. A little cat, Emiko, stops the angry residents. She holds an order from Shogun in her paws. This dog is really their new samurai. The cats are terribly disappointed and go home in a terrible mood. Only Emiko's baby supports the new samurai, but her angry mother takes it away. And Kashu finds out that his plan didn't work. He decides to attack Kakamucho again and disgrace the new samurai. Meanwhile, Hank finds the house of a real cat samurai, his weapons and armor. Soon the hero himself appears, the formidable Jimbo. Alas, the cat hero has become a Valyrian after one shameful incident from his past. Hank asks the great samurai to become his teacher. And at this moment, bandits attack the residents of Kakamucho again. Alas, Hank cannot protect the cats, as he is too small and weak, and also does not know how to wield a sword. Hank comes to his senses in Jimbo's house and admits that once a real samurai saved him from death. It turns out that it was Jimbo himself. But the huge cat refuses to teach the naive dog the genius art of Bizudo, as Hank is absolutely hopeless. In addition, Jimbo's reputation is ruined, and the former hero is not yet ready to correct his sins. Upset, Hank leaves, and a baby Emiko comes to Jimbo. She begs him to teach Hank, and the huge cat finally agrees. Jimbo and Hank sign a contract and start constant training. The former samurai teaches the dog to fight, cross a river, climb walls, shoot an arrow, and be a real fighter. But Hank is really hopeless. The dog is disappointed with his teacher, and then Jimbo shows him a real samurai technique. We understand that this huge cat is really very cool. Jimbo admits that he used to be the bodyguard of a very influential cat named Toshi. One evening, he came to a mysterious meeting and was ambushed. Jimbo immediately grabbed his sword, but it turned out that it was a surprise party in honor of Toshi's birthday. Jimbo not only ruined the cat's holiday, but also sterilized all his relatives. The next day, the cat samurai blindfolds Hank and makes him use only hearing and smelling. He teaches our dog not to copy the habits of cats, but to use his strong sides. And Hank finally succeeds. Meanwhile, Ikaku is preparing to arrive in Shogun and decides to try again to drive the residents of Kakamucho out of the city. To do this, he orders to free the beast. This is a huge, irresistible red cat named Sumo. This fat guy moves to the top of the pig and with one blow can knock out a whole herd of horses. Sumo comes to Kakamucho and destroys half of the city. Scared, Emiko runs to Jimbo and Hank and begs them for help. The samurai cat says that this is not his problem. Then Emiko's baby grabs a sword and goes into battle alone against the red giant. Sumo grabs the brave baby, but she still doesn't give up. Then the villain wants to crush her, but suddenly Hank appears and immediately flies away due to the powerful blow of the villain. After the second blow, Jimbo finally runs up and hands his student a sword. This doesn't help Hank much. He becomes a real dog for Sumo to beat. Jimbo recalls that the villain is allergic to beans and lets a green bar into Sumo's mouth. The red giant begins to suffocate, and Hank, taking advantage of the moment, still defeats his opponent. All the residents of Kakamucho are delighted and incredibly happy about the unexpected success of their new samurai. The local doctor checks Sumo's reflexes, and Hank boasts of his victory in front of him. It turns out that this red giant in his soul is a very kind and sweet cat who simply had no friends. Cats from Kakamucho bring Hank many gifts, including even a huge bone. Now he is a local celebrity. Oddly enough, Hank and Sumo become friends. Also, Kroshka Emiko joins their company and gives a souvenir to the new samurai. Ikaku learns that Sumo lost the battle and gets angry. He arranges a new trap for the residents of Kakamucho. The red villain personally comes to the city and invites Hank to celebrate his victory in a chic nightclub. Jimbo asks his student not to do anything stupid, but the self-confident dog does not listen to the teacher and goes to the party. Sad Jimbo gets drunk with Valerian and tears their contract. Meanwhile, Hank is having fun in full program. Applause of fans, autographs, photos for memory, and dozens of admired cats. This is just a dream of any hero. Alas, at the same time, bandits attack Kakamucho again and practically destroy the city. There is no one to save the poor residents because their defender is bathing in the rays of glory at this time. Sumo is trying to help the local cats, but his strength is not enough, and Jimbo is too drunk to enter the battle. By the way, all the fans in the club were ordinary actors who were bribed by the cunning Ikaku. The next morning, Hank returns to the city and sees that Kakamucho is practically destroyed. He rushes to Jimbo, but the samurai renounces his student and rushes to the fortress to free Sumo, who was taken prisoner. Other cats also accuse Hank of treason, and even little Emiko turns away from our hero. Hank's reputation is hopelessly ruined. The dog goes to the pier to return home, but on the way he realizes that he must help his friends. The samurai loser catches up with Jimbo and declares that he will go to save Sumo with him. They are surrounded by guards and an epic fight begins. Hank and Jimbo defeat their opponents and secretly break into the citadel. There, thanks to Hank's excellent sense of smell, they find Sumo's cell and free their friend. As soon as our heroes get out of the citadel, they are immediately attacked by hundreds of guard cats. Sumo and Hank break through to the gates, and Jimbo detains the Ikaku army. After all, he is a real samurai. Hank and Sumo return to Kakamucho and see that the residents are leaving the city. The cats are afraid that Ikaku will send his army here and finally destroy the city. So it is. The red villain gathers the worst cats in the world and orders them to attack Kakamucho. But Hank does not intend to give up. He reminds the cats that they must fight for their home, family, and friends. The cats agree with their samurai, but they need a plan. The residents of Kakamucho make a model of their city to deceive the enemy army. Their deception is quickly revealed, but in the fake city, there was a trap with explosives, and Hank arranges a grandiose explosion. The fight begins. Between the residents of Kakamucho and the Ikaku army, a truly epic battle takes place. Hank fights like a real samurai. Sumo and other cats also fight well. Even Emiko's baby demonstrates real fighting techniques. Suddenly, on the battlefield, Shogun himself appears with his army. Ikaku declares that Hank is to blame for all this mess, and Shogun orders to arrest the dog. However, our hero is saved by Jimbo. The samurai cat approaches Shogun. It turns out, this is the same Tosha to whom he served faithfully, and Shogun is not at all offended by his bodyguard for the spoiled holiday. Then Jimbo tells everyone about the insidious plan of Ikaku. The red bastard tries to escape, but Hank catches him near the huge toilet, and a final sword fight takes place between the hero and the villain. In the end, Ikaku finds himself inside the toilet, and Hank and Jimbo rush to the city and demand the locals to urgently dig trenches. Thanks to this, the water bypasses Kakamucho. However, the three kittens are washed away by a strong stream. Baby Amiko wants to save them, but she herself falls into the water. Then Hank and Jimbo, and then all the cats in the city, jump into the stream, grab each other by the paws, and get the babies out of the water. Shogun agrees to recognize Hank as the official samurai of Kakamucho, despite the fact that he is a dog. The main cat gives Hank a real samurai sword, but the dog gives it to his baby Amiko. It is this brave kitty worthy of such an honor. Well, Hank and Jimbo continue their training because there is no limit to perfection. I love your likes like cats to Valerian. It was Movie Cat. See you soon, friends.